I think there's one question I forget to list here. Okay, wait a minute. Yep, this one, this question. Can doctor explain more about the error, what to avoid in each error? Okay, this one because I think this one is related to the error slide there. Where is that slide? Okay, I believe this one. Okay, there's a three type of errors there in C programming. Of course, the one that always uh, very easy to detect is the syntax error. Okay, syntax error is related to the rules, okay, or the grammar of your C programming. Okay, if you do some grammatical error mistake in your programming, then that is called syntax error. Okay, in general, your compiler will detect it. That's why one of the examples syntax error is when you know when you, for example, like what we have done so far. Let's say I forget to put a semicolon there. Of course, in the more modern in modern programming language like Python, they also already remove this you remove this semicolon. Okay, that's why if you don't put semicolon, the Python still can run because they in modern programming language they are thinking this is very tedious to do, but of course in C it's very strict. If you don't put a semicolon, if you run the program, okay, for sure it will put the errors there. You forget to put this semicolon. So this error is what we call a syntax error. Okay. Um, what other example of syntax errors? Okay, for example, you forget to, you just put scan, no F. That is also syntax error. Okay, anything can be detected here. Okay, or it's make the compiler don't complete in compiling this code. Okay, it stop here before it complete compiling all the code. That is called syntax error. Okay, because that is why another name for syntax error is a grammatical error. Okay, so that is syntax error, which is the one that very common and very easy to be detect because you just leave to the compiler to detect, unless of course in doesn't matter is it a test question or final exam question, that you need to detect by your own, because of course in practical you can um, you can ask the compiler to help you. Okay, you just depend on the compiler because compiler will help you to solve or to help you in correcting the grammatical error or syntax error. But in exam it might be, you also need to know, because in final exam and test in general we we train you to become a compiler. Okay, it's not like you train you to become a compiler, whether you can detect an error or not in the program. Given a some program, can you find where is the error in this program? So normally we try to make it miss something, miss semicolon, so then you will see whether you can detect the error or not if you are not if you don't have the compilers. Okay, and how about the runtime errors? Okay, the runtime errors and the logic error, both it's very difficult to detect because in general, if you one program, okay, if you talk about one program, if that program if the program is there is no syntax error for that program, that does not mean that program is free from runtime error or logic error. Okay, again, I try to repeat the statements there. If the program free from the syntax error, that does not mean the program free from runtime errors and logic errors. So now what is the difference between runtime error and logic error. Of course, if your compiler already finished compile and seem to be there's no error, that means your program is only free from syntax error. Okay, but it's not free from runtime error and logic error. Okay, because logic error and runtime error can only be detected when you try to run the program. Meaning that once the compiler finish compile all the code and now you want to test your program, then you see these two error. Okay, runtime errors as well as logic error. So like you see in this example there, what is the difference between runtime error and logic error is that the runtime error is you do some invalid operation like this one. You have in your program you has a mechanism where there's a possibility of the program do some arithmetic operation where it divide a number with zero. Of course, if you talk about your you know your of course when this is done by human, of course something divide with zero you get infinity. Yes, but for computer infinity cannot be cannot be stored in your memory or cannot be do some things there. Okay, because again like I said, computer only understand machine language, and machine language is in binary, and that binary represents some numbers or some figures. Of course, if you talk about infinity, that is something which cannot be imagined by the computer. Okay, but can be imagined by human. Okay, because human always uh, you know try to uh, try to you give infinity with some symbols there. Okay, infinities. Okay, infinities. Okay, because human, when we say infinity, you only remember this symbol. But okay, this is infinity. But for computer, you must give any figure, any numbers. The computer cannot imagine what is infinity. So that's why that is one of the example called runtime error. Because your during the runtime your computer will crash because you are doing something like this where after doing this operation, the result from this operation is infinity, where that infinity, the statement infinity or the that infinity itself cannot be imagined by the computer, because in general when you do some operation or arithmetic operation, you want to the final product from this that operation you want to, or the final result from that operation you want to store in certain variable in your program. But if the answer is infinity, then it's very difficult for computer to translate it, because computer needs something which is in figure, in numbers. Okay, that is runtime error. Okay, but how about what is different between runtime error and logic error? So logic errors, okay, runtime error is your computer will be crash when run some program. Okay, but that is during the runtime. Okay, during when you run your program. Of course, if your computer capable to run that program, for sure that program does not that program is free from syntax error. But when you run the program and you find out this is happen, your computer will crash. How about the logic error? The logic error is when this is not happen, but during the runtime, when you key in your inputs there and you find out actually the output from your program is not similar to what you want. For example, you want to calculate, for example, you want to multiply, you want to get the output where the output is in Z. Okay, the output is in Z, and then uh, the user need to key in the value of X and Y, because you want to do X multiply with Y. Okay, but when you test your program, after you do the program and you finish up, you find out the program, when you key in your X and your Y, of course that one you just imagine that you do scan F, print, please enter X, scan F, X, please enter Y, scan FY, and then you do some equations there, and then once you test, you key in your x and y, you find out the operation is not x multiplied by y, but x divided by y. So it means that the program does not produce the result that you want. Okay, you want this one, but you get this one. So that situation is called logic error.